Ladies and gentlemen, in this Red Gaming Tech.com video, we're going to be going over the best CPUs for the money. This is in relation to either gaming or general desktop use, and it is currently the 20th of July 2013. As I've said, every couple of months or so I will release another video which will give you guys an update. So obviously if you're watching this 3 or 4 months time, then by all means go to the channel, do a search, and you'll find a later video. With that said as well, just final caveat, we are assuming that you are in the process of either buying another motherboard as well, and we're also assuming that you have no bias between AMD or Intel. So in other words, we're looking at purely the best CPU you can get for the cash. The very cheapest CPU I would recommend personally is the AMD X4 750K. Now it's yours, depending upon your region, for around 60 to 70. That would be either pounds or dollars. And it's actually a pretty good CPU. It doesn't feature level 3 cache, but runs a little bit faster. Now in my personal opinion, it's a good quad-core processor and will easily do budget rigs, and therefore you can upgrade to something a little bit meatier down the line if you so wish. Next up, in my personal opinion, the best option you can go for is the AMD, once again, 6300 Black Edition. This is a 6-core processor and is yours for about £90, or if you're paying in dollars, around 120. This is actually a really good processor. The Black Edition, of course, means that you can overclock it to your heart's desire. It runs fairly cool. Now, a small caveat, there are Intel processors that may perform better on certain games at this price range. However, I am choosing this processor for a number of reasons. The first is that the next generation of consoles is, as it turns out, going to have multiple cores, a lot more than currently. And so multiple threading games are most likely going to become a lot more commonplace. Therefore, titles like Crysis 3 are no longer going to be the odd ones out in terms of they perform better with multiple cores, and indeed they're going to become more commonplace. Second point, as I said, we're going to be assuming that you're going to be doing more than gaming, and most Intel processors at this price point, you're looking at dual-core solutions with hyper-threading, which means they can handle 2 threads per core, which means you can handle 4 threads, but it's not as fast traditionally, and therefore, generally speaking, this processor, particularly when you include the overclocking functionality as well, I would personally say this is an absolute steal of a processor, in my personal opinion. If, on the other hand, your wallet is just a little bit fatter and you can afford a little bit more cash, then you can actually get yourself an 8-core processor from AMD, and this would be the FX 8350 Black Edition. I'll repeat one more time, the AMD FX 8350 Black Edition. It is an 8-core processor and is a pretty big monster actually. It's got 8 megabytes of level 3 cache on it, the same amount of level 2, and will pretty much run you a good gaming system. It will cost you, as I said, about $150, or if you're paying in British pounds, including VAT, by the way, for UK residents, you're looking at about 150 to around 130, depending on what websites you go with. I'm using a couple of the really big ones. I'm not going to bother to mention names, but I'm sure you guys can guess them anyway, so you guys can just Google around to get the best prices. I'm just going to give you the median price, so around 130 to 140 pounds. This is actually a really good processor and will likely do you for quite some time to come. Now, once again, if you have even a fatter wallet, you can start getting into the really good territory for processors. We're going to be ignoring their Haswell offerings because, as it turns out, they're a little bit more expensive than the Ivy Bridge, and they don't really perform that much better, and also Ivy Bridge in this particular instance overclocks quite well. So I'd personally recommend to you guys the i5, this is once again from Intel, the i5 3570K. That is an Ivy Bridge processor, and you're looking at about £180, or if you're paying in US dollars, a smidgen, just a hair over just a smidgen over $200. It's actually a really good processor for the money, and I would highly encourage you guys to pick this one up once again, if your wallets can bear the burden. And now we're hitting the point where, for most people, the price isn't really worth the extra outlay, the performance isn't really worth the extra outlay, but it is still a very good processor, particularly if you're doing a lot more than just gaming. And also, as I said, multi-thread gaming is going to become a bigger thing anyway, so who knows, the performance difference may well spring to life. This time, I've decided to go with Haswell. The reason for this is, although the performance gains are marginal from Ivy Bridge to Haswell, 2 points. Firstly, unlike the previous processor, the price difference as I'm speaking right now, once again on July the 20th, he says checking the date, is basically none. We're talking within a few pennies. And the second reason is because we've got a newer socket type. Now, these processors do overclock slightly worse than the Ivy Bridge alternative, but this is offset by, as I said, about 5 to 10% performance boost out the gate and a much newer socket type, so it'll be worth more if you decide to sell it in, say, I don't know, 6 months to years time. Say, for example, a super duper processor was released from, say, AMD. We know they are working on a new processor after all, so let's say you decide to sell this in 6 months, it'll be worth a little bit more cash. And addition to that as well, it's going to run a little bit cooler out of the gate, and it does overclock anyway. So we're going to be going for the i7 4770K. I'll repeat one more time, 4770K. That you're looking at quite a bit of moolah. You're looking at about 270 to 280 pounds. This is assuming that you're either going with OEM, so no processor, fan or heatsink combined, or with the heatsink and I keep saying processor, heatsink and fan combined, or if you want the US dollar price, you're looking at about 320 to 330. Once again, depending on if the heatsink and fan are included or not. And once again, your mileage may vary depending on where you're ordering from, shipping rates, and so on and so on. But those processors will definitely do you based upon any budget, and will certainly play pretty much any game in the next couple of months. So for regular viewers, as you guys know, I have promised you that I will be doing a lot more PC stuff, and I am going to be definitely following that up. I have a lot of stuff planned, including system building guides every month to 2 months. I will be putting out best motherboards, best processor, obviously including this video, best graphics card solutions, and everything else, as well as all the other bits and pieces that you guys are famous for. And just in case you're a console regular viewer, don't worry, the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One coverage and everything else you expect will not be going anywhere. I assure you of that, my good sir. So anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed the video, and once again, if you have any PC building questions at all, you can either message directly on the channel, but the better option would be to go to facebook.com/redgamingtech. I'm currently working on the website, so a lot of the forms and so on aren't working right at the moment. So meanwhile, please go to facebook.com/redgamingtech, and you can either post on the Facebook wall, or you can message directly. Please address it to myself, which is either Paul or Crimson Rain, depending on which one you prefer, and I will respond. The reason I ask you address it to me is because there are a couple of us who have access to both the channel and also Facebook, and so if they don't know, you know, they'll read the message and so on. It just makes it easier for everyone involved if they just see, oh, okay, I see it's Paul, don't touch the message. So they don't open the message, basically, and then don't unmark it for me so that I know to open the message. If that made any sense. If not, then just, you know, do as I say and everything will be cool. Anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed the video. I will see you soon. Take care. Bye for now.